Hey everyone, Spot of Nerd here with a doozy, doozy of a review, and I hope and I pray to God that you get a chance to see this because Dune Part 2 just has been released obviously in the box office, and my God, it has got to be one of the greatest sci-fi films that I have ever seen. Hand to my heart, I swear to you, this has got to be truly some of the greatest writing, direction, casting, cinematography, everything in between, with barely any little critiques, which there's maybe one or two, but we got to talk about it. And this will be, I'll give you a quick little spoiler. I am going to talk about the film. If you don't want to know, look away. I encourage you to go watch it, then come back and watch this. But I promise you, Dune Part 2 is something you are not gonna want to miss. So, one quick little thing I'm gonna highly recommend for anybody that is not familiar with the Dune films. Personally, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I wasn't. There was an original film back in 1984, which is very weird. It's very odd. I kind of started watching it. It's just different. Let's just say that. It's 1984. There's not crazy cinematography as far as CGI and stuff like that, but it's worth watching. What I would highly recommend before you go and watch Dune Part 2, go and re-watch Dune Part 1. I do know it is currently streaming right now on Netflix, and it's also streaming on Max, formerly HBO Max. Trust me, the reason I recommend doing that is because there is a lot, and I mean a lot, of detail involved in these films. Think Lord of the Rings meets Star Wars meets Star Trek meets every religion on the planet meets insert XYZ here. It's a lot to take in, but I promise you, you can follow it. Dune is actually a part of a book series, and supposedly with Dune Part 2, this is officially the first book. So Dune Part 1, Dune Part 2 is officially book number 1. Think of it like Harry Potter or something like that. So, will we get more? Odds are yes. My suspicion, suspicion is a bad word. My estimation, I guess, there's better words. This thing is gonna kill it as far as the box office. This will easily make over $1 billion. It has to, just because of the popularity I've already seen. The reviews, everybody is just basically blown away on just how incredible this film is. And I have to agree on every single level. From the main actors, like, you know me, Spot of Nerd, I'm terrible with the actors and actresses, but the main cast member who plays Paul, which of course they think is the god. You have Tom Holland's girlfriend who plays what's-her-face in Spider-Man. You've got Thanos, and you've got the dude in Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. Amazing cast. Austin Butler, I mean, my God, that dude is popping up everywhere right now. Elvis, Masters of the Air, fucking Dune Part 2. He's genuinely probably now one of my most favorite actors out there, and I cannot wait to see what he will be in next. But ultimately, it combines into truly one of the greatest storytelling I've ever seen. So much, in fact, I might actually go and read the books. It's that good. It really is. And maybe you can tell me, have you read the books? Have you seen the films? What are your thoughts? I would like to know. Tell me in the comments. Like, do the books hold up? Does the movie hold up? Blah, 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 you know? Going to the movie. Now, I want to give you a quick little breakdown. This will be probably the more spoilery side of things. It's kind of, I mean, I don't mean this in a derogatory way. I genuinely mean this in the most positive way I can think of. It really is very old school Star Wars in relation to the year is 10,000 plus, and you have all these houses. It's like, what's the show? House of the Dragon. It's like Game of Thrones. So you have all these houses, and the way that everything is ran, from power to people to food and all this other stuff, is spice that's on this planet called Dune. And obviously everybody wants a piece of the pie, the metaphoric pie. So there's Paul, who is the main actor that you've seen in the trailers. He is a part of a house that gets duped, essentially, where Isaac, that's what his name is, the guy Star Wars, Isaac something or other, but he gets killed off by Jabba the Hutt, as I call him. You know who I'm talking about. Big fat dude who like has a cybernetic spine and stuff like that. So, and then you have the Emperor. So imagine, again, Star Wars. You have this Emperor who's in charge of all the houses, who blindsides the good house, kills everybody except the kid and the mother who escape to the natives of the Dune planet. And that's where the story takes off. You know, he has the ability, he has these abilities, and his mother is like a witch who can talk and like control people. So it's like borderline Star Wars in relation to Jedi and the Force. But it works. It really, really does. This isn't like a copycat scenario. I just want to do it as a metaphoric to try and help you understand it. You have Dune with the spice that controls how everything is ran. You have the houses. You tried to have the good guys take over, but they were manipulated, killed by the Emperor, who's in control of everything, who ultimately in Dune Part 2 gets called out. The natives of Dune, which are the desert people, they of course have an uprising, manage to take over, but the rest of the houses, when they find out, they don't accept Paul, aka the main character, as the new Emperor. They don't accept him as the new deity or the new god, or minus the natives. Obviously the natives see him as the next Messiah, the next Jesus, and that is where the movie ends. You know, it's the start of the Holy War, as they call it. So he has these powers. He has the ability to see the future, the past. He also has his mother's gift of this weird, crazy voice where he can take over people. So there's so many little pieces that just really make you excited and passionate about the details of this film. And I've got to give so much credit to the director, who, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I have no idea who the director is. But this is just, again, it's one of those movies, it's one of those series that I hope does continue, that reminds you a lot of what used to be. And I say used to be because, again, you know from this channel, you know from everything else, there is so much shit out there right now, whether it's movies, whether it's television, actors, actresses. This is fine. It's like, finally, holy shit, where has a movie like this been? You know, it obviously was supposed to come out last year, 2023 in November, but the strike happened and yada, 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 yada. It's a huge breath of fresh air that we actually got to see this now, because ultimately, think of this as a very similar vibe to Lord of the Rings. It's a very similar vibe to Star Wars. It's a very similar vibe to even just going back to old school Aliens, Sigourney Weaver and Aliens of the 1980s. It's got that feel of dirt and grittiness. And yes, obviously this is a sci-fi film. There's a lot of sci-fi attributes to it, from spaceships to planets to all this other stuff. But you can just tell the way they filmed it. You know, they're filming this probably in the Sahara Desert. I can only imagine. The dirtiness, the grittiness, they don't need to be violent. You know, yes, there is blood, but there's not gore. A lot of the different houses they're different makeups, from the body armor to the spaceships to the mining equipment that they use. It's absolutely incredible on every single level, and I cannot tell you anything really negative. The only thing, the little sliver of, I would just say, opportunity maybe from this part 2, it is a little bit choppy in relation to some of the story and the continuation. And what I'm getting at is, you'll be watching a scene, let's just say they're having a conversation about Paul and whether or not he can ride one of the worms, which we'll get into that, how fucking amazing that was. But then it cuts to the next scene where they're attacking one of the mining ships from the bad guys. So it's like, well, hold on, wait. we didn't finish this portion yet, and we're going right over to this other portion. So there's definitely some choppiness. I'm curious if there might be a director's cut. This thing is 3 hours long. You are going to need to make sure, go to the bathroom before, or hopefully you're good at holding it. I'm sure you can go and you won't miss too much, but ultimately, I'm wondering if there is a longer version of the film and they just had to cut pieces out to get it within reason, I guess. I don't know if there's rules behind you can only have XYZ amount of time, but I do ultimately hope there is, because there's a little bit of choppiness that I think could have been cut a little better as far as the final film, if you want to do that. But yeah, I would say ultimately my most favorite part about it is, even I keep going back to the Star Wars where, you know, they have these ginormous worms on the planet, and the way they are visualized is, I can't even put words to it. There's just no words to describe the epic. But they're also able to find on the inside of them, they have this water of life, and that's what Paul and his mother drink to see their visions, to get their powers boosted, and blah 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 blah. But there's also some like sneaky drama in the background, because it's almost like the mom is the bad guy, but she's really not. So she's going to be giving birth to a sister, and she can communicate. So the baby's inside of her, who's Paul's sister, and she can like communicate with the kid, and the kid's going to be the future. And it's a lot of, again, a lot of details that you need to pay attention to, but ultimately it's the definition of what's good versus evil. It really, really is. I think one of the best pieces to it as well is it focuses a lot on the religious culture aspect. And the way I can describe this best is, I'm somebody who actually is a very religious person. I do believe in a higher power. I do believe in a God, and I do believe in Jesus, and I pray every day. I love the attention to the detail around this in this film. Now, I'm not saying there's Christianity in the film or any other religion, but just like the Jedi in Star Wars, there is a lot of detail around the Fremen, which I think, if I'm saying that correctly, the desert people, and the way they just kind of, their culture is, the way they believe in the higher God, the way that they believe that Paul is the next generation, the next Messiah, to basically turn this desert planet Dune into a paradise, into this green planted oceans and everything in between. And just like the Bible, everything is playing out. What Paul is doing, leading his armies and leading all of these desert people, it's telling the story of the Bible. And I love in the movie, and I love that because not a lot of movies are, or even TV shows for that matter, are confident enough, I guess is the right word, to dive into stuff like that. So I really did appreciate that. I really, really did, because it shows you that, you know, regardless of who you might be, regardless of what you might believe in, you know, believing in a higher power, believing in spirituality, etc., so on and so forth, can actually be a really great thing, a really spectacular thing. And ultimately, it can give you the necessity to keep going when you are in the most dire time or in the most dire environments. You know, the desert, it shows you the detail. I keep going back to detail, but it shows you what these people have to do to survive in the most horrific conditions. You know, the desert is their home, but for example, water is so scarce that they have to literally, if they find a dead body or they kill the bad guys, they suck every last drop of water out of them, because it matters. From a teardrop to vomiting, you know, every piece of liquid matters. And it's just, with Paul and his belief and them believing in him, it's just incredible to see the fight against good versus evil, especially in the year 10,000. And I apologize if I'm kind of going all over the place, but it's just, I'm so excited, and there's so much up here that I want to spew out to you guys to really get you to kind of get excited as well, and to be passionate that this is something. Please, like I've said in the beginning, please go and watch this film. You must see it in IMAX. It has to be seen in IMAX. It is incredible visuals and so much credit to every single person that worked on this film, Dune. It's just a masterpiece. I really, really think so. But we'll kind of just leave it right there. Just like Spot of Nerd always does. No doubt this is getting 4 cups of tea out of 4 cups of tea from yours truly, Spot of Nerd. Even those little nitpicky things, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't ruin the film. It's just something I wish maybe we'll get a little more attention to in a director's cut. I really, really think that's all. Please, please go see this film. Take your family. I really think it is like, sure, the kiddos, I don't know if maybe like young kids, but you know, 9-10 years old. If you were willing to show your kids a Star Wars movie or a Star Trek movie, you'll be fine. This isn't, you know, like if you were to tell me, would you show your kids Aliens? I would probably say no, because Aliens is a little bit more graphic. This is not really that graphic. It's just, again, the most amazing storytelling that you've seen in a very, very long time. So just go and watch it. Trust me, people. If there's one thing you would ever trust from this guy right here, Spot of Nerd, please go and see Dune Part 2. But make sure you see Dune Part 1. It's gonna count, and I promise you, you'll thank me for that later. Until then, folks, thank you all so much for watching. As usual, out of pity for me, please, I would love you forever if you would go ahead, hit that subscribe button right down below. Give me a like, throw me the comments. Even the haters, I love you just a little bit because I know you're watching. And yeah, thank you, seriously, from the bottom of my heart. We will see you guys next time. Later, y'all. Okay, minor little end credit scene, not even related to Dune Part 2. It's gonna get crazy in these next few weeks. There is a lot of movies coming out that I'm a little worried in relation to. I hope they get the attention they deserve. Dune Part 2 just came out right now. In 3 weeks, March 22nd, we're gonna get Ghostbusters. The following week is gonna be Godzilla v X Kong. I'm worried because I want Ghostbusters to be successful. Frozen Empire. I really, really do. It looks amazing. It looks incredible. And so does Kong x Godzilla. But I want both to be great, because if they're great and they make a lot of money, that means we get more sequels. I really, 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 really pray to God that we do get more sequels, especially from Ghostbusters. I really think Ghostbusters is just nailing it. And from the trailers, from the news we're getting before the film, this looks incredible. So please go and watch them. Go, please watch every single one you can. And we, of course, right here, will talk about it once they're out, because you know we have to. It just, I can't wait. I'm excited. I really, really am. It's good to see such great things coming, and I hope you are too. Even in the television, we're going to talk more about that later. I just finished up starting out the new Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. Fuck me sideways. Just incredible on every piece. It is so good to see Rick Grimes back. And trust me, they're giving the fans exactly what they want. It's perfect. So stay tuned for that, folks. We are going to talk so much more about nerdiness, and I can't even put words together that are correct. I hope you'll join me. Until then, we'll see you later. Which I've already done that, but why not? We'll just do it again.